The Raptors lose a close one to the Boston Celtics. 120-118 is your final. Welcome to Raptors Tonight. I'm Randy Urban, joined by Paul Jones, Jack Armstrong, and Leo Rautins. Fellas, that was an ugly one early, but the Raptors battled back, and we're so close to taking this one. Let's just start with your first thoughts, Jack, about how they turned the things around that second half.
Well, to me, I thought their defense was terrific. Late third quarter, fourth quarter, their pickup point, the pressure on the ball. They went a little smaller, a little more mobile. And I just thought they played a lot harder, and they weren't giving up transition opportunities like they were early in the game, particularly a lot of them on made shots, which was very, very frustrating. I just thought they got more dialed in defensively. And I think for this team, you know, Dwayne Casey used to always say, you know, you tell on yourself. They can do it. Now the question is it going to be habitual? What is your standard? And I think the most frustrating thing tonight was, where was that early in the game? And, you know, for this team to win, respectfully, their margin of error is slimmer. And you have to have great defensive intensity the whole game. So I think that's a lesson from tonight. But I thought it was a tremendous comeback. I thought they did a great job, a lot of good adjustments. Now you have a real challenge where you have to play a quick back-to-back, a 6 o'clock start against an absolutely desperate opponent.
Yeah. Jonesy, your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I thought Boston came out and hit him in the face early, to Jack's point. And it was almost as if Toronto, like they hadn't read the scouting report. They didn't understand that Boston they're going to shoot those threes. They are number one in the NBA in 3-point shots attempted per game. They take about 43, 44 a game. I mean, you break it down, that's anywhere from 10 to 12 a quarter. So they're going to be firing. And I just thought Toronto was on their heels when Boston took that big lead. And as Jack said, now they say, oh, okay, so you're going to keep shooting these? I guess we better defend them. And they did a better job in the second half. And then, listen, Boston playing that style, kind of reminiscent of Golden State from years ago in their championship runs. They don't have the same quality of shooters. And sometimes they're your best friend. They can shoot themselves into a game and shoot themselves out of a game. You look at it, the 3-point shooting was even tonight. I thought Toronto did a terrific job, and I was worried at one point that the Raptors might try and play Boston's game. And Leo and Jack know what I'm talking about. Back in the day when you played the Steve Nash Suns, everybody ran up and down the court and the shots were flying, and you look up at the scoreboard and all of a sudden you're down 20 because you've been enticed into playing a game that you're not used to, where you have the wrong person taking the wrong shot from the wrong place at the wrong time, and it plays into the other team's advantage. I thought they cut that out in the second half. They started to get good looks. As Jack said, they started to pick up the defense. And listen, they're up 109-105, and Darko called a timeout. And there was part of me that cringed at that timeout because I would have loved to have seen them just kind of keep the flow going. It was 109-107. I know that was an important possession, and he wanted to make sure. But you wonder, do you roll the dice at that time and just kind of keep playing?
Leo, what were your thoughts watching that one tonight?
Well, a couple things that, an adjustment that you make should not be playing hard. That should be something you do. All right. That should be an adjustment. And for almost a full 3 quarters, I'm looking and I'm going, is anybody upset that you're getting scored on? Is anybody taking this personally? Is anybody going to go into somebody and take something away? I kept waiting for it. And, Jack, you say, okay, the old thing with Dwayne Casey, you told on yourself. How many times this season have we said that? You told on yourself, right? So
regularly.
At some point in time, you got to say, how is this team going to play? We keep talking about stuff like this, but literally, Sam Mitchell and I were sitting in studio and we're looking at each other like, does anybody care at the defensive end? And all of a sudden, you get this effort in the fourth quarter and as Jack said, late third, fourth quarter, you're getting up on people. You're trying to take shots away. You're forcing them to put on the floor. You're trying to deny Brown the ball. Well, come on. That's not an adjustment of technical play. That's an adjustment of saying, I'm going to try to stop you. All right. And that's pride. And you're talking about a team that played last night in overtime. And now you've got a problem. You know, what's in front of you is very, very difficult, starting with tomorrow at Detroit. And nobody wants to play Detroit right now because you don't want to be that team. You don't want to be the team that ends your streak. Yeah. And Detroit's got a little confidence of their last game against Boston in overtime. So you put yourself in a real bad position heading into this extended road trip.
Yeah, and Jack, to the effort point, I thought this was a great opportunity for the Raptors to, dominate the glass. Luke Cornett is a big guy, but he's not somebody that really, cleans everything up down there. But they weren't able to dominate on that part of the game. Why not?
Well, on the defensive glass, I thought there were issues. They allowed a lot of straight line drives, point of attack, and therefore you're scrambling and you're not really able to get good blockout situations. So you're giving up putbacks. And I think on the offensive glass, I think some of that is just, the commitment to get on the offensive glass. And the types of shots that are taken. And so to me, I think it was, to your point, I think the Raptors, as the game went on, they started to exploit the size differential a little bit better. But I think it was a little too late.
Jonesy, do you have a stat of the night that stuck out? I know you talked about the threes already. Anything else?
Well, and it is the threes. And you think about Toronto being in this game. Both teams made 17 three-point shots. I mean, I thought Scotty was terrific at 7 of 15. But both teams made 17 three-point shots. And at the beginning of the year, I think after our first show, when they beat Minnesota, Jack said, the shooting. And I remember Jacko saying this, and it's something I've always been tracking. Just be average. Just be in the middle of the pack. The Raptors are 27th in three-point percentage. They're third in assists, but they're 27th in three-point percentage. They'd be number one in assists if they could make some more shots. And tonight, I just thought they did a really good job of knocking down shots, taking good ones. I thought Jaylen McDaniels really, really showed well off the bench and stepped into his three-pointers with convictions. Even the ones that he missed, he shot them confidently. So maybe that gives Darko something to work with going forward.
Leo, what do you make of the 15 attempts from three for Scotty Barnes?
Hey, you make 7 of them. He's feeling it, right? He's shooting the ball with confidence. And I here's the thing. I respect a player that looks at his game. He took a lot of heat last season, looks at his game and say, what do I got to do? Okay, what do I have to do? And, for Scotty's game to evolve, he's got to be able to shoot the basketball because he can do everything else. He's an exceptional passer. He can put the ball on the floor. He sees the floor. He posts you up. He can get to the offensive glass. He can do everything. If he can make the shot, he puts himself into a rare area of being unstoppable. And to go into your summer and put that kind of effort in, to have the confidence to shoot like he's doing right now, hey, I don't have a problem with him taking 15, okay? Because he's still doing all the other things he's supposed to be doing. And the other thing he did, and you guys pointed out during the game tonight, Jack, that his conditioning level. I mean, this kid has put in some work, so he can play and he can compete for the whole level. And Jonesy, like if you don't have your legs, you're not making your shots. Right?
Fatigue makes cowards of us all, right? Isn't that the phrase? Fatigue makes cowards of us all.
So he's making the shots because he's got the legs, right? So, so I really respect the fact of what he's done and how he's grown as a player and the adjustments he's made.
Jack, when with Tatum out, Porzingis out, Jaylen Brown was able to really flex his muscle, and that he relishes the opportunity to be the number one option. What did you think about the Raptors' defense on him?
Well, he had 15 points in the first quarter. He's had a ton of success against the Raptors in the first 2 games they've played. And, it's funny. I think back to when I was a high school coach. I used to have our team come out on the court. We have all these 20 assistant coaches on every team in the NBA now doing all these individual workouts. I was by myself. we would go out and do shell drill before the game, before a game. We'd go out and do shell drill, like guys just screaming, help side, ball side, one pass away, two pass away, yada yada yada, all this stuff, and then get into warm ups and break a sweat and get a mindset going. And to me, I think their starting defensive mojo, to me, is problematic. And I'm not saying that you go out on the court and you do shell drill. Maybe you do. I don't know. But I think their defensive disposition to start games has got to get better. And so you ask me about Jaylen Brown. That's an issue. Because to me, why was he able to get off? He came out firing right at him. And to me, I think that's a problem.
Mm-hmm. Jonesy, do you think they found something with Jalen McDaniels picking up a few more minutes tonight?
They might have, but as Jack said, you got to play the other end, and it brings us back to something for me, Randy. We were kind of trying to squeeze in at the end of the last one against Washington, when Steve Kerr talked about the NBA legislating defense out of the game. We've said that all the time. Leo and I sit there, and Jack and I sit there and go, defense has been totally devalued in the NBA now. Totally devalued. It's an offensive game, and the marketers would much rather see, like tonight, 120 to 118 than they would 89, 87. So you can't touch guys, you can't bump cutters. I think of guys that are in the league now, and I know I sound like the old man, get off my lawn, but the physicality of the game has changed to the point where some guys could never play in a bygone era with the defense allowed to be physical. Now you can't breathe on a guy, and they're hoisting threes from all over. So, to Jack's point, I love that. I would love to see that. But the other part of it too is the league has to want some of that too, and let guys be. I'm not saying you bring it back to the 70s, but just allow a little bit more. As Steve Kerr said, and Eric Spoelstra talked about this. How do we coach defense now? Like what are we? Like all this emphasis on flopping. I've seen 2 flop calls the whole year. There was all this chatter about it. I've seen 2 the whole year. And guys,
Jones, you remember Pop?
Stuff.
Remember what Pop said? He goes, "Hey,
yeah,
if you don't want to play defense, let's add a 4-point line and a 5-point line. And let's just open it up. Like the heck with it.
Yeah.
Because how do you even teach defense when even offensively, there's no structure where guys are taking crazy shots, right? So you are devaluing defense right now in a very big rate. All
right, guys, going to stop it there. Next game for the Raptors tomorrow night in Detroit, 6 p.m. Eastern is the tip. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.